Thank you.
Dang it.
You want me to press it?
No, it's
Dang it.
messing up. Alright.
Did you know that Ronald Reagan was the only former president that was an actor? I've always thought that Reagan has been one of the greatest and most successful presidents of all time. I will inform you with information about the life and presidency of Ronald Reagan. According to History Channel, he was born on February 6, 1911. He is the son of John Edward Jack and Nellie Wilson Reagan. His father struggled to hold a job due to alcohol obsession. His family had lived in several towns, but they finally settled in Dixon, where Reagan later said that was the happiest period of his life. He went to Eureka College, he played football, and he thrived in drama society, but he only made passing grades. In the 30s, he landed a job as a radio broadcaster and spoke at several football games. In fact, he was still very involved with football and baseball while president. In 1937, he decided to try movie acting. A lot of the roles he played reflected himself, a very sincere and wholesome person. He appeared in over 50 films such as Law & Order, Santa Fe Trail, Kings Row, The Winning Team, and many more, as shown in biography.com. While filming, he became engaged to Jane Wyman. They had a daughter named Marie Elizabeth. They had another daughter named Christine, but she died the day after her birth. Reagan was the first president ever to have been an actor. He also served as president of the Screen Actors Guild for 5 years. The Screen Actors Guild is an American labor union which represented over 100,000 film and television principal and background performers worldwide. At a dinner party for the Screen Actors Guild, Reagan met his wife, Nancy. He had 2 children with Nancy, Ron Reagan and Patty Reagan, and then they adopted a son named Michael. Before his presidency, Reagan was originally Democratic before turning Republican. As a Democrat, he viewed Franklin D. Roosevelt as a true hero. Seeing as they had become too liberal, he switched to Republican and won the 1984 presidential election. Reagan was governor of California for 2 years in 1967 and 1971. As governor, he secured tax increases, balancing the budget, and cut property taxes. Reagan entered the presidential nomination in 1968, but lost to Republican Gerald Ford at the National Convention, says the Newsweek's Global. Reagan entered again at the presidential election in 1980 and dominated his opponent, George Bush. Reagan's first days as president started on a very surprising note. On March 30, 1981, John W. Hinckley Jr. fired 6 shots at Reagan in Washington, D.C. Reagan was leaving the Hilton Hotel when he was fired at Reagan, and the security team was also fired upon. His wounds were not noticed immediately until he started coughing up blood. 12 days later, he was able to return to the White House to continue his work. In August, 13,000 PATCO workers went on strike, ordering higher pay. PATCO is a professional air traffic controllers organization. Their main goals were a 32-hour work week, $10,000 raise, and a better retirement package, says EBSCOhost.com. Using the supply-side economic program, Reagan made massive tax cuts to help balance the budget and better the economy. In 1982, the nation suffered a severe recession, causing unemployment rate to be 11%. Using Reaganomics, inflation decreased and economy balanced out. Real gross domestic products grew over 1/3 during his presidency, which was an over $2 trillion increase. The annual growth for GDP was 3.6% for his term, compared to 2.7% in past years. After his resignation, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. In his sickness, he never lost faith in his country. He wrote a farewell letter saying, "I know that for America there will always be a bright dawn ahead." I've informed you with the highlights of the life and presidency of Ronald Reagan. As you have heard, Ronald Reagan has had few bumps in the road throughout his term, but his loving attitude really brought care and support for him by the people of America.